late cult pastor Kevin Smith and police constable Orlando Irons both died of multiple blunt force injuries, their autopsies have revealed. The autopsies on the bodies were conducted earlier today at Archer's Funeral Home in Spanish Town, St. Catherine. Smith, who was head of the Pathways International Ministries, and Irons were killed in a car crash in Bog Walk on October 25 as police transported the controversial pastor from St. James to Kingston to be charged with murder. This in relation to alleged ritual killings at the church earlier in the month. 2 days after his death, Smith was posthumously charged with 2 counts of murder, conspiracy to commit murder, illegal possession of firearm and ammunition, wounding with intent, and shooting with intent. Still tonight, the National Works Agency, NWA, is reporting that heavy rainfall has impacted roads in sections of St. James, including the North Coast Highway. The NWA says sections of the corridor were flooded and significant delays were experienced by motorists. Now, in its weather forecast for today, the Meteorological Service Division reported that a stationary front is expected to remain across Jamaica through to tomorrow before dissipating. Also, a weak trough is expected to linger in the vicinity of the island for a few days. The Met Office is forecasting cloudy conditions with showers and isolated thunderstorms, mainly across western and north-central parishes. In the meantime, the inclement weather across the island reportedly posed a challenge for primary schools in western Jamaica that were anticipating today's resumption of face-to-face classes. The bad weather impacted student attendance and at least one institution cancelled classes. Over in Westmoreland, at the St. Paul's Primary School, where nearly all grade 1 students were present, some pupils had to travel to school by means of bike taxis, and others were unable to attend because of the rain. Of Jamaica's 759 primary schools, 376 institutions with a student population of 600 or less were slated to resume face-to-face classes today, following an announcement from Prime Minister Andrew Holness on October 26. As we continue with the news tonight, Acting Chief Education Officer in the Ministry of Education, Dr. KASAN says the government will be providing a subsidy for secondary level students to retake their exit exams this year due to the challenges caused by the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. Troupe, who was addressing stakeholders during the sixth form pathway program virtual town hall recently hosted by the ministry, noted that the ministry provides a subsidy for students to sit 4 Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate CSEC subjects. These are mathematics, English, 1 science subject, and information technology or electronic document preparation and management, EDPEM. She said that the support will continue in the sixth form pathway program. Students will benefit from 3 subject subsidies for communication studies and 2 units of their choice. The sixth form pathway is part of the ministry's implementation of a 7-year high school program. It will allow students to pursue a 2-year course of study with alternative opportunities alongside the traditional sixth form curriculum. Troupe said that all students who register for the program will benefit from a grant of $17,000, and if the pupil accesses the program at a public tertiary institution, the ministry will pay a grant of $60,000. Students who pursue the program through a private tertiary institution will receive a grant of $80,000. Troupe said that the preliminary cost for the pathway program is estimated at $1.5 billion. In tonight's COVID-19 update, The Ministry of Health and Wellness reported 65 new COVID-19 cases, increasing the total of confirmed cases on the island since the outbreak now to 89,746, as well as 12 COVID-19 fatalities, increasing the island's death toll from the virus to 2,287. The latest victims are comprised of 3 persons each from St. James and St. Elizabeth, 2 persons each from Kingston and St. Andrew and St. Anne, and 1 person each from Portland and St. Catherine. The deaths occurred between August 4 and November 6, 2021. Meanwhile, the new cases comprise 40 females and 25 males, ranging in age from 5 to 92 years. The ministry says 30 of the new cases were recorded in Kingston and St. Andrew, 18 in St. Catherine, 4 in Clarendon, 3 in St. Anne, 2 each in Hanover, Manchester, and St. Elizabeth, and 1 each in Portland, St. Mary, St. Thomas, and Westmoreland. The ministry further reported 279 new recoveries, increasing the total of recovered persons now to 59,318. Still tonight, the government has achieved its target of administering 1 million COVID-19 jabs ahead of schedule. The milestone comes more than 3 weeks ahead of the end of November target. In a media release yesterday, the Health Ministry informed that as at 2:30 p.m., the country distributed a total of 1,455 doses of COVID-19 vaccines. Of this total, 553,341 were first doses, 391,782 second doses, and 55,333 of the single-dose vaccine. Jamaica's COVID-19 vaccination program began in March, with the government targeting the inoculation of 65% of the population by March 31, 2022. The government has been offering the 2-dose AstraZeneca and Pfizer vaccines, as well as the single-dose Johnson & Johnson shot to residents. Upon hearing of the achievement, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton thanked the public health team for their dedication and continued efforts in taking vaccination to the population through fixed sites, blitzes, and community outreach. He also thanked their partners in the private sector who have contributed to this effort. Dr. Tufton continues to encourage Jamaicans to visit vaccination.moh.gov.jm or call 888-1-LOVE, that's 888-663-5683 to find the nearest vaccination site to get vaccinated. Meanwhile, the opposition spokesman on health and wellness, Dr. Maurice Guy, is extending congratulations to Jamaica's frontline health workers on surpassing the 1 million target in administered COVID-19 vaccine doses. Dr. Guy says all members of the health team are deserving of special recognition, as there were many challenges along the way, yet they stuck to the task and achieved it 23 days ahead of schedule. Dr. Guy said the public can repay our health professionals by taking their COVID-19 vaccination, which is now proven as the best way to fight the virus and reduce the possibility of hospital stay and critical illness. He said taking the vaccine is not only a commitment to self, but also a major help towards restoring normality in the economy, education, and other important areas of national life. As we continue with the news tonight, following the publication of an interim guidance on vaccination for immunocompromised individuals by the World Health Organization, WHO, the Ministry of Health and Wellness has advised that it will immediately implement the recommendation and administer an additional dose of the COVID-19 vaccines to Jamaicans who are classified as immunocompromised, according to WHO's guidance. Now, the WHO has defined immunocompromised individuals as persons with immunocompromising conditions and those receiving immunosuppressive treatment. Now, these include persons with active cancer, transplant recipients, immunodeficiency, HIV, and immunosuppressives. According to Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bissaser-McKenzie, the recommendation applies to persons who are moderately to severely immunocompromised and are in the vaccine-eligible age group. These persons are required to obtain a letter from their doctor stating their eligibility and take it to the vaccination site. Doctors who treat several of these patients should contact their parish health department to access the vaccines for their patients. Now, as it relates to the time frame between doses, WHO recommends that the additional dose should be given at least a month after the second dose of the AstraZeneca and Pfizer and after the single dose Johnson & Johnson, or within 3 months. Persons who are outside of this time period should get the additional dose as soon as possible. Still making Mellow TV news, the government has passed and gazetted the amendments to the third schedule of the Road Traffic Act, updating the penalties to be paid for the offences outlined in the legislation. The House of Representatives, in an unusual move, met last Friday to pass amendments to the bill, in a bid to allow law enforcement to continue issuing traffic tickets with the current fines after a court blocked their imposition. The amendments move to address a supposed gap in law after Supreme Court Judge Sonia Bertram Linton last Wednesday granted an injunction limiting fines to what was set down in 2006. The government says the amended act will address the penalties in the existing act despite the injunction by the courts. The interim order by Justice Bertram Linton resulted from a matter brought by Maurice Housen against the Attorney General and the Commissioner of Police. Now, the interim order is to remain in place until the trial, which is set for 2023. Now, Minister Chuck says the government awaits the outcome of that trial. Continuing with the news tonight, the planet's largest private residential ship, MS The World, docked at Kenwright Pier in Port Antonio, Jamaica yesterday with 90 passengers who will be enjoying some of the island's attractions until tomorrow. A number of Jamaica Union of Travelers Association JUTA operators who are fully vaccinated or who have a negative COVID-19 test have been contracted to take the high-end passengers to various parts of the island, a development that has been welcomed by a member of the ground transport company. Among the amenities aboard MS The World are a grocery store, deli, boutique, and showroom, golf simulator and putting greens, full-sized tennis court, jogging track, swimming pool, spa, billiard room, fitness center, cocktail lounges, 6 restaurants, movie theater, library, and internet access in each residence. Immediately before calling on Jamaica, the ship visited the Dominican Republic. And that's our news package for you tonight. Thank you for tuning in to Mellow TV Evening News at 8. I am Shelly-Ann Hill. Do stay safe and pleasant viewing.